kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
It was a tough and testing week last time out at the Martinsville Speedway, but now we come to the penultimate round of this season. It is the Alliance Material Handling's 100 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the SCL Winston Cup Series. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Zach Woods. And Zach, a lot of great racing that this series put on last week, not just in the Cup Series at Martinsville, but also in the street stocks at Texas, and then back for another championship race at Martinsville in the trucks last week. We're getting set to crown a new champion here on the Monday night side very soon, but we still have one more race to get to before we get to that championship race.
Absolutely. And here at this racetrack at New Hampshire, these drivers are going to be tested in the combination of the next gen meeting up with this pretty difficult track we talked about in some pre-production conversations, the very real reality that these cars are very loose off of exit. You're going to be seeing drivers really struggle with the handling of their race cars all throughout the run. You don't have to wait for the tire fall off to happen in order to watch guys get a little squirrely. And ultimately, it's going to be a contest of who can be consistent, hit their marks all throughout the run, preserve tires, and ultimately we will probably see some pit strategy wind up in SCL action tonight. But gotta shake off all that funk from Martinsville. It's a new week this week, and these drivers are ready.
Yeah, we saw a lot of pit strategy come into effect last week at Martinsville, and really a lack thereof, as it was Maxwell Caldwell, who we see atop the point standings, not coming into pit. Wrong one. Not coming into pit last week, leading the pretty much the second half of that race, or 3/4 of that race, and taking the race win. Maxwell Caldwell, as you can see, your current points leader as we come into this race, 103 points clear of his closest rival, Braxton DeWeese. He can't win the championship here. It's most likely going to go into the final race, but he has a very good chance at really making it very, very difficult for the driver of the number 8 here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And my hope is that as we see these drivers really try to button up a good season, we start getting some of those more storylines of feel good stories, right? Of drivers maybe not necessarily vying for a championship, as we've talked about how the lead is pretty large. But it is so good to see an SCL field that looks at the championship competition with 2 races left and go, you know what? It might be a foregone conclusion, but I want to go out here and get trophies. And again, Frank, we're treated to another, large field for an end of a season contest.
21 drivers have set to take part in tonight's Alliance Material 100, Material Handling, I should say, 100 here at New Hampshire. We're just a couple of seconds away from the start of this qualifying session, and as we had alluded to last week, this racetrack pretty much is just a copy resize of Martinsville. It's not quite the same configuration. It is a little bit wider, both on the straightaways and in the turns, a little bit longer in both the straightaways and the turns. You don't have that concrete patch on the inside, but still high speed straightaways, heavy braking zones into flat rolling corners.
Absolutely. Brake fade will be an area of concern for these drivers. Just trying to manage their equipment tonight is going to be key. Ultimately, Frank, I'm really excited for the show that SCL is going to put on for us here at New Hampshire. I think that we're going to be in for a big-time treat tonight.
Absolutely. It's doing a little bit of a pan shot here through the lesser-known portion of this racetrack, the outside road course that goes through this racetrack. As we'll see now, Todd Merkel is going to be the first one to jump out onto the racetrack to put down a qualifying time. Braxton DeWeese, Maxwell Caldwell out on track as well. Tyler Rudge making his way onto the racing surface as well here for this 5-minute qualifying session. Michael Matta now out on track. Trevor Dalton had a very good run at Martinsville last week. Michael Matta finishing in the top 5 in that number 16. I believe actually had a podium. Came close to the podium last week at Martinsville. As we see Todd Merkel, who was part of that midfield battle that never really quite got going. Anytime somebody kind of moved up through that midfield, it seemed like they just got knocked right back down with an incident.
Merkel's had a series of contests here through SCL competition that has really been mired with some bad luck. He's looking to turn it around today, as crossing the finish line first will put him on pole just briefly as Braxton DeWeese clips him here.
Now Braxton DeWeese, boy, my goodness, what a time from DeWeese. A 30-60 for Braxton as he gets way loose coming out of turn 2. Completely destroys his second lap. Maxwell Caldwell 0.3 of a second off, almost 0.4 of a second off on his first lap. Now, DeWeese took the pole, pit on lap 50, and never got back up to the lead again at Martinsville last time out. And Caldwell not good enough to beat him on the second lap. Here comes the 30 of Trevor Dalton.
Yeah, another driver that was strong at Martinsville. He's carried some pretty good runs over the last few weeks of SCL competition, and just ultimately trying to put a whole race together, I think, will be key for him tonight.
Not quite good enough there was Dalton, about a half a tenth shy as we see Andrew McKenzie. Joseph Grijalva coming into tonight third in points. Right now fifth on the charts. Solid run there out of turn 2. Coming through 3 and 4. This is the 24 of Chris Myers. Started second in Martinsville, and remember, blew the braking zone going into turn 1 on lap 1. Put him right to the back early. Myers not good enough to push his way up through the field on his second lap. Grijalva betters his first lap, but not good enough to move up a position. Justin Lewis put it fourth on his first attempt at a 30.69. Really high through 3 and 4 there. We'll see what this does. $30.75.
I thought he blew the corner there for a moment, but his line through 1 and 2 mirrors that as well, as he pulls off to the side. But yeah, very, very interesting lap for him. It paid off. He's going to roll off fourth as it stands right now.
See Michael Matta on track. He has already completed his qualifying attempts here tonight, getting a couple extra practice laps. Chris Vanderplatz and Andrew McKenzie only put down 1 lap. Adam Lowe got to pit road but did not leave it. Mike Peters, Adam Chapman, Larry McKenzie, and series debutant Joe Owen not putting down qualifying times as Matta a little bit too hot going into pit road.
That's what practice is for.
Exactly right. As we see Joshua Yarborough, he as well has finished his qualifying attempt, running some extra laps. P7 for the number 77.
2 Toyotas in the field tonight, and it looks like both Toyotas are going to secure top 10 starts.
Sure. Trevor Dalton being the other one. So we got 15 seconds here left in this qualifying session before we get back to green flag. Before we get back to green flag racing, there it is. Before we get into the race, I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I'm tired.
Hey, technically speaking, it's been a week since we've been to green flag racing, so we're going back to it, just at a different track, a different venue. So
we'll get to it eventually. As we are now about to get to it, as we will take a look at the starting grid here for tonight's race. Starting on the pole will be the number 8 of Braxton DeWeese with a time of 30.603. Beats out Trevor Dalton by a little bit less than half a tenth. That is your front row. Maxwell Caldwell and Justin Lewis will make up row number 2 with Chris Myers and Joseph Grijalva in row 3. Row 4 goes to Joshua Yarborough and Todd Merkel. Justin Sorrell and Mark Brown make up the top half of the field. Tyler Rudge and Zachary Archer will sit in row 6. Row 7 goes to Michael Matta and Josh Tarrant-Hill. Chris Vanderplatz and Andrew McKenzie will make up row 8. Mike Peters and Adam Lowe in row 9. Row 10 goes to Larry McKenzie and Joe Owen with Adam Chapman starting at the back of the field. Peters, Lowe, McKenzie, Owen, and Chapman all starting via their iRating after not setting a time in the qualifying session. Weather conditions here for tonight's race, just past 1 o'clock p.m. in sim time. 80-degree ambient temperature, a little bit of a warm day up in Loudon, New Hampshire, and made worse by that 121-degree track temperature. That could let us into why these guys are having such an issue coming off the corners.
Absolutely, and the track temperature was around the 120 mark at Martinsville as well. If you remember, the track was exceptionally hot there too. So these drivers are going to have to combat just a tricky racing surface tonight, and ultimately it's going to require quite a bit of patience. These drivers are going to have to figure out braking zones of their competitors in front of them and beside them, and really start to do some book work early on to say, how can I maneuver this track safely? That's going to be a big topic of conversation tonight.
Absolutely will be, as we're waiting on a lot of guys here to jump onto the grid. Trevor Dalton, Maxwell Caldwell. You just saw Todd Merkel jump on. Josh Tarrant Hill, Adam Lowe, Joe Owen, Adam Chapman. Still waiting for those guys to effectively grid up here for today's race, as there is the pole sitter, the man in charge here tonight thus far. Braxton DeWeese, he was only fourth quickest in the qualifying session, in the practice session, taking pole here. Then again, did pretty much the same thing back at Martinsville last week. Wasn't in the top 5, but didn't look as though he had pole speed. But then came out and shot right to the top.
Yeah, there's just something about being able to lay a fast qualifying time that it's an art within itself. So these drivers that might be able to qualify very well, you can very see them up front on raw speed. As we are going to get rolling here, and just trying to look through the field right now. I think there were some drivers that did not make grid.
We did have a couple of drivers that did not make grid, one of them being Trevor Dalton. Joe Owen, Adam Lowe, and Adam Chapman did not make grid either. As we work our way down the back straightaway, and already a little bit of a wall kiss there from the 07. You heard that little crunch from Lewis.
He's probably all flustered because he went, wait a second, now I'm starting on the front row. But
just a little kiss never hurt anyone. As we get set to go here for tonight's race, coming out of turns 3 and 4. Braxton DeWeese in control once again. 100 laps here from New Hampshire. We are green.
Drivers have to be really patient here, trying to hit their braking points as the number 94 machine, it doesn't get that much close as Caldwell's wasting no time trying to get the inside for the lead.
Boy, we got to be patient here. Third almost takes out first immediately as you say it, and already we are side by side down this back straightaway. There's the 73 of Mark Brown. Guys trying to funnel up towards the front of the field, trying to make their way as here comes Chris Myers on Justin Lewis for third.
Lewis exited too last time by, hit the wall pretty hard with the right side of that Ford, and he's going to try to do a little bit of a crossover move, just trying to get the car underneath him here on exit.
Joshua Yarborough coming very close to the wall on corner exit. A little bit deeper in the field. That is the 86 of Tyler Rudge on the inside, and that New Jersey Devils number 86. Battling to the inside of the 38 of Zachary Archer. Nice slick look for that Monster Energy Chevrolet here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers back here, a key for them is to just race where the guys in front of them aren't, because you get so airtight in the center of the corner, riding behind the guy in front of you, and then it just really wants to snap off. So these drivers that are experimenting on the high line, they are doing themselves a favor, just trying to gain a rhythm where other people aren't, as you can see here on Archer's machine. Definitely just trying to log some laps here in the 11th position, as we do have a battle for the lead.
A battle for the lead incoming, as Maxwell Caldwell has gotten to the inside of Braxton DeWeese, and DeWeese gives up the spot. Maybe he hit the wall coming out of turn 2, or really had to check up, because that seemed as though he was very, very down on pace.
And these cars just get really twitchy, and New Hampshire is, not a lot of people would think it this way, but New Hampshire is a momentum track, as there is a caution on the racetrack.
It's Larry McKenzie in the 00 would be the culprit. See what happened here to the 00 machine. By himself, and around he goes. Watch. Ooh, hard hit into that outside wall.
Yeah, on first glance, it didn't really look like he hit anything. That car took that wall. That car took the wall pretty good, and this will benefit the number 30 machine of Trevor Dalton, as he is on the racetrack now, and it looks like he will be able to, at the very least, catch up to the field.
So Braxton DeWeese losing out on that race lead to Maxwell Caldwell, just a handful of laps into this first run as we ride on board here with Caldwell. Part of the reason why you're going to see these guys running a little bit higher is because you could probably see it here a little bit. There is not much banking here at New Hampshire, but there is a little bit, and right here where Caldwell is running through this corner is technically the low line. The very, very bottom line, right at the yellow line on the bottom, that is about as flat as you can get. So if you're looking for a little bit of banking, a lane up is where you're going to find it.
Yeah, you're really able to roll the center of the corner a lot more efficiently, running right where that 94 is right here. And it is very difficult to keep the car underneath you, at least in the sim, right there on that very, very low line. Just something of note, Chris Vanderplatz was the only car to come down pit road, at least according to my timing and scoring on that last caution. So
I'm seeing as well.
So for anybody who's out there rooting for Vanderplatz, and you're looking up the screen going, hey, wait a second, now you know why.
Adam Lowe, Adam Chapman, and Joe Owen are officially listed as did not starts here so far. Everyone's still out on the racetrack. Everybody's still on the lead lap as we get set to continue racing action here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. The Alliance Material Handling 100 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And again, next week will be the season finale. The Merkel Racing Engines 150 from Atlanta. Sure to be a fun night battling for a championship here in these Cup cars. Green flag back in the air. A great start from Maxwell Caldwell. Sees him jump out to the front.
Oh, no, the 24 sideways in the middle of 1 and 2. He's around. It's collecting quite a number of drivers. That's the 6 as well as Andrew McKenzie's in it. The 95 as well as Mike Peters. That all started, Frank, with the number 24 machine. We talked about him at the stop of the show. He missed turn 1 on the green flag start of Martinsville, and he finally found his way up front and missed his. He did the same thing, Frank. He did the same thing going into turn 1 here, starting from 3rd.
We'll take a look at it again here. Meyer's going to be the first car on the inside line. Oh, he's straddling that, straddling the banking there. And you could see just, the 95, the 38, and
looks like the trio of those trio of cars spun out simultaneously in the center of the corner. So that'll be an interesting replay.
They all spun out just trying to yank the car down to try to avoid. There's the 95. You see the 38 in front. Oh, 95 gets into the 38, and the 6 gets sliding, just trying to.
He's trying to get on the brakes.
Yeah, just trying to turn the car down to avoid the 24.
Well, Chris Myers is probably saying right now in his sim rig, I cannot wait to get out of these flat tracks, because that's 2 weeks in a row, and we know he's very talented. He has a lot of momentum, obviously, and carrying the banner for Garza Law Firm on that 24 machine, winning their sponsored race a few weeks ago, and
Oh, you're wrong.
he just kind of one of those things, Frank. We talked about it under caution. That bottom line is very, very tricky. I wouldn't want to be down there on restarts.
Almost a Nostradamus scenario there.
We don't wield that power,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Right?
Sorry, Chris, we spoke it into existence. So under caution for the second time tonight here in the first dozen laps. Now, just because it is a little bit wider of a version and a little bit longer of a version of Martinsville doesn't mean it does not have the same characteristics that a Martinsville would have. It is still going to be a very difficult race for these guys, and because cautions tend to come aplenty here, positions are going to be at a premium just as they were last week.
Hey, one driver, Frank, that isn't really having a ton of issues with positions, although he did start up front, so he's clawing his way from the back. That would be the number 30 of Trevor Dalton. He wound up missing the start of this race. Was in the very back of the field. We saw him in the shot with the Larry McKenzie incident on lap 6, but Trevor Dalton has clawed his way just to being outside of the top 10 here in 12th.
I'm starting to get the feeling that Trevor Dalton decided not to start. That was I think that was a conscious decision by him to stay out of the way.
Well, he's in the Hornet's nest now,
Yeah.
so starting from that 6th row.
There's no denying that as DeWeese and Caldwell will line up on the front row once again. Caldwell in control. DeWeese trying to keep his championship hopes at a manageable level. And with Caldwell leading laps, that is not how to do it, as Caldwell gets a very good jump. Green flag back in the air. This could bring Justin Lewis through with him. It does.
Huge restart here for Justin Lewis. Very impressed with his start as he is now all over the tire tracks of Maxwell Caldwell. He's going to take second.
Very, very good start, keeping it out of that outside wall. It's so odd looking at that car, the way the paint is done on the car. It looks like he slammed that right front corner in, but it's not. It's just the paint. It's just a paint job on that car. It's caught me out a couple times.
A little bit, Frank, but remember on lap 1, the 07 drifted up high, smacked the outside wall from starting third. So although it might be an optical illusion for us up here in the booth, he's not exactly driving a crystal or a picture-perfect car. It's the 30, just a little wiggle. We should not talk about him anymore.
It's a huge wiggle for Trevor Dalton, losing a good 6 spots there, doing a very good job of locking that car down and keeping it straight. As up a little bit further towards the front, that's the 77 of Joshua Yarborough to the outside of the 199 of Justin Sorrell.
Something I noticed at Martinsville that was particularly
Something
odd
happened.
is that
2 cars stopped on the inside. That's the 24 of Myers. And the 38 of Zachary Archer almost got it going before the caution came out. Unfortunately, could not. I think Todd Merkel, Todd Merkel's off in a separate incident as well.
Todd Merkel is destroyed here against the inside fence. Look at that race car.
That's a hard hit. It's not that often you see these guys lose complete pieces. Boy, he found somewhere to break that thing off. Take a look and see this coming out of turn 4. This is just ahead. Oh, Peters slides away. And then the 24 and 38 make contact. 38 by far gets the worst of it. A little bit of a nudge there from the 24. And then here's Todd Merkel. Spinning it off of turn 2, not good. Hard into the Armco barrier, and he will catch the tire wall, which is where the majority of the damage comes from.
Yeah, look at the impact hitting that tire barrier, sends the 2-car flying back, and that his unlucky streak is going to continue at least for now here in SCL Cup competition. But you take a look at this replay, Frank. In a strange way, Mike Peters' spin saves him from perhaps dire consequences there, as you see him meandering on by.
It's just a little bit of a nudge there between the 24 and 38, and here's Merkel from 4th position too, side slams the Armco barrier, and then here's where it all ends for him.
It's such a unique place of the racetrack to hit.
Yep.
And not a lot you can do there.
So Merkel will pop the fast repair, as I believe Zachary Archer has done as well. Chris Myers is on pit road trying to fix that car. Maybe took a fast repair there. Unfortunately, we don't have anything in our timing and scoring that will allow us to see that to give you a definitive answer.
I tell you what, as we're going to rack them up here again for another restart, I was very impressed with the jump that Justin Lewis got off of the first, or off of that last initial green flag launch. He really was able to capitalize. He passed Braxton DeWeese for 2nd place, and just had a very strong restart. It's very atypical from what we have seen out of SCL competitions. Normally the control car just runs away with it, but Justin Lewis, fantastic restart last time. We're going to see if he can duplicate it again.
It's the beneficiary of starting in 3rd on one of these restarts, is being able to see what the control car does and not having to guess the way the car on the outside does. Certainly goes for whoever starts on the outside of the 2nd row as well. This time it's Joseph Grijalva. Now he may be able to see Maxwell Caldwell, but he can only go as fast as the car in front of him. So that log jams him up as well.
Well, interesting 20 laps here at New Hampshire already, but we're got a long race to go here. So these drivers are trying to figure out, how do I get into a rhythm without possibly spinning myself out? And we're going to rack them up and start it here all over again, Frank.
Running about an average of 4 green flag laps before we get a caution here, as we are completing our 4th trip behind the pace car. DeWeese on the outside, Caldwell on the inside. Joseph Grijalva, 3rd place in points, mind you. Starting outside of the 2nd row, green flag is back in the air. Off and going again. Lewis getting another very good start from that 2nd row on the inside. He will get and clear Braxton DeWeese going through 1 and 2.
I'm amazed. Back-to-back restarts, fantastic for that 07 machine, as they are single file at least through 7th now.
It's Michael Matta side by side with Josh Tarrant Hill. That's for just inside the top 10. Matta 9th, Hill 10th. 6 of Andrew McKenzie has already had a little bit of an excursion here tonight. Chris Vanderplaat's right in the middle of it as well in the 10. Boy, Vanderplaat's got sent into turn 1 by the 95. Almost takes out the 6, but is somehow able to keep it straight.
Meanwhile, in the back of this group, you have the 30 of Trevor Dalton going, I started in the back for this, as he's going to go 3 wide into the corner at New Hampshire.
Peters able to keep hold of the middle, and that's the detriment of being on the flat, on the bottom. He had such a good run going into the corner, but not able to hold on to it. As we see Chris Myers starting to make his way back through the field again. Michael Matta looking to make a move on Joshua Yarborough, as that's Justin Sorrell able to keep it straight, gather it back up. There you go, big save, 199.
Save of the race so far right there from the 199. That was the same spot of the racetrack that absolutely destroyed Todd Merkel's number 2 Ford. And wow, we get a fantastic save from Justin Sorrell.
Beautifully done as Mike Peters looks to the inside of Josh Tarrant Hill. Yarborough
here it goes.
and Mata. Oh, there goes the 95 of Peters. Keeps it straight. We stay green. While that's going on, Yarborough and Mata still battling side by side for 7th.
Right. I tried to make this point the last run, then we had a yellow, but I'm going to try to make it again. We saw at Martinsville last week, Joshua Yarborough was one of the very few individuals that rocked that high line all day long. And as you said at the top of the show, Frank, track's very similar in how it's laid out, and the 77 wasting no time to trying to figure out that top lane here at New Hampshire.
Michael Mattis saying, you know what, if that top lane's going to work for you, I'm going to go a little bit higher. Unfortunately, went a little bit too high there, did the 16. As he will lose that position. Trevor Dalton still battling side by side with Josh Tarrant Hill. Dalton on the inside, trying to work his way up through the field again. Started second. There goes Tarrant Hill. Contact with the inside wall. Nothing too bad. Turn it out of the tires. What a save again.
Wow. These guys putting on a clinic right now as they're saving it out of 2. What a save by Josh Tarrant Hill.
Well, you want to talk about a plethora of good saves that we have had here. Let's jump back. This is what happened to Justin Sorrell earlier on this run. Loses control. Misses Armco, misses everything, keeps it straight. And what we just saw with Josh Tarrant Hill coming off, boy, it's a wonder he didn't get clipped by the 24. Just does kiss that Armco on the inside and doesn't touch anything else. What a job.
And they're still racing like it's they're still racing like it's the last lap back here.
Vanderplaat's working his way up, looking to the inside of the 6 of McKenzie. That's for 9th. Dalton to the outside. Myers starting to put a little bit of pressure on Vanderplaat's on the inside.
You can see the drivers. Yep, you can see the drivers searching in that corner. 4 different lines from 4 different drivers. You have to get out of the wake of the guy in front of you.
Boy, my goodness, what an ambitious move by Trevor Dalton trying to split the middle.
Oh, the 24 round.
That's Chris Myers. He's going to go all the way around, and that will bring out a caution.
Oh, my word. Frank, I need to breathe. There's so much that has happened in that run. It's been 10 laps, and we've seen incredible saves from these drivers. It's just the luck happened to run out on Chris Myers.
Unfortunately for Myers, the eager beaver on the throttle on the inside there got a little bit too eager. As with that, we will pause to take a breath. We will be right back. You are watching the Alliance Material Handling 100 here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Flag-to-flag coverage of the SCL Winston Cup Series will continue when we return right after this. Back live at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Alliance Material Handling 100, the penultimate round of season number 33 for the SCL Winston Cup Series. Todd Merkel not coming down to pit when everybody else did. He will be the race leader. Maxwell Caldwell, Justin Lewis, Braxton DeWeese, and Joseph Grijalva, pardon me, your top five as we get set to start lap number 34. Coming out of turn 4, green flag is in the air. Merkel off and running. Back to racing we go.
He's got to hit his braking points going into 1 as Merkel now in uncharted territory all by himself out in the lead.
It's not as if he hasn't had the pace. Remember, when he spun, he was running in 4th. So he does have the pace to be up here. As here comes Maxwell Caldwell for the race lead. Now the difference would be everybody coming in and getting tires as Joseph Grijalva slides and somehow keeps it straight. Great job, Grijalva. And for his troubles, he will go from 5th down to 12th. And possibly lower. Boy, we're almost 4 wide through 1 and 2 right now.
No big deal, right?
It's wide enough for it, as Peter's the one stuck in the middle. Now, what I was saying about Todd Merkel was everybody on track came into pit on lap 30. Merkel came down pit road on the lap that he wrecked, which was lap 17. So he's got 13 lap older tires, and unfortunately he's coming off of the longest green flag run of the race thus far.
Yeah, under fire here from DeWeese as Braxton's able to really send that car into the corner. Just kind of slide right up in front of him, not going to help the turn on the 2 machine as he's going to fall back, perhaps now into the clutches of Mark Brown.
Right on board with Braxton DeWeese, who needs to have a good run. That cannot be understated. He needs a good run, and he really needs Maxwell Caldwell to make a mistake at the wrong point in this race, which unfortunately for him does not look like it's in the cards, as Caldwell has been up in front for most of this race. DeWeese 105 points back as we see Trevor Dalton battling with Mark Brown. Yarborough and Matta still going at it with each other.
Oh, there. We can all breathe up here in the booth as Trevor Dalton continues to write another chapter of chaos in his story at New Hampshire.
That is one thing about these cars, that if you get, though, watch out Grijalva now. If you get these cars out of shape, if you slam on the brakes, you could get it straightened out, but you got to do it quick enough, and that's exactly what the 30 of Dalton did. And now he's all the way back in 18th position again, having to work his way through the field for about, what, the 4th time already tonight?
Yes, absolutely. He's going to get the award tonight for passing the most cars. Unfortunately, he's right back at the bottom, going to try to claw his way back up again. I've been really impressed, Frank, with Justin Lewis here in second, as we see Joshua Yarborough and Michael Matta. That battle is finally over, as Yarborough is now under duress from Andrew McKenzie.
McKenzie on the bottom. There's Justin Sorrell, who we saw sliding out of turn 2 not all that long ago. McKenzie running right on that inside. It is a lot harder to straighten the car out and get a straight run off the corner, which is where you're going to find speed around here when you're on that bottom line. But certainly if you could fight that car on the outside long enough, you might force them to blow the corner, maybe get up a little bit higher than they normally wanted to, and maybe get into the wall coming out of the corner.
As we see this battle continuing to rage on for the 7th position here. These 3 drivers just kind of... Oh, and there's Grijalva around. he's getting into it with Mike Peters in the 95.
Yeah, he got a lot of help from the 95 of Peters. As Mike Peters, at least from what it looked like there, turning the 47 around. That one guard, number 95, gets to the bottom, tries to force up, and yeah, there's not much denying that.
I want to play devil's advocate here in the booth. I want to be able to vouch for the driver here, but the 95 did clip the apron just a tad coming out of the corner, so it might have something to do with it on loose exit. So, yeah, I don't know.
Right there.
I try. I gotta try.
As we see the black and red number 94 merging with the white, red, and blue pace car.
Somebody that didn't want to see this caution was Todd Merkel in the 2 machine. He had settled in 4th. He was fending off Mark Brown for quite a while on that run, and the front 5 were sort of spaced out. And Merkel found himself in a decent position on those older tires. Now you're going to bunch him back up again, and he's now going to restart a little bit further back.
Yeah, and that's the point of it, is when you're on these restarts, the worn tires or the older tires rear their head a little bit more since you're racing around the pack, but once you settle into that little gap where your pace is and the field starts getting strung out a little bit, those older tires don't look nearly as bad as they did when they were running in the pack.
And you made the point earlier, we saw Todd Merkel spin out from 4th place. Well, where is he now? 4th.
Don't speak that into existence. Don't.
Hey, I'm just saying. No.
Like that.
I'm not. No. I just am making an observation that perhaps his raw speed marker of the night tends to be around 4th place. So we'll see if that car has got the raw speed to kind of hang up there. He's got a bunch of drivers behind him that are very hungry for position, as we got to see Matta, McKenzie, and Yarborough really battle. So you don't want to find yourself in that mess, because those 3 seem to be battling one another every week.
And it was because of him pitting off cycle is what got him back up into the position he is in right now. As it appears as though Justin Lewis might... Oh, never mind. He's getting back up. I thought maybe with how quick the 8 got around him, maybe he was taking an EOL penalty there. Different drivers have different strategies for everything. Field bunching up 2 by 2, coming out of turn 3 and 4, or coming through turns 3 and 4, I should say. Getting set to go, nearing the halfway point here at New Hampshire. Green flag back in the air. Another good jump for Maxwell Caldwell, and a bad restart from that 3rd position for Braxton DeWeese.
Tell you what, that 07 machine of Justin Lewis, probably the strongest restart we've seen of somebody starting from the 2nd position. He was side by side with the 94 going into turn 1. Of course, it's going to fall back a little bit here down the backstretch.
Being on that higher line, especially on these restarts, not a benefit. It's coming through 3 and 4 now. Lewis able to use that momentum on the outside lane, able to gas it up a little bit more. Not constricted on exit the way you are on the inside line. Takes the position away. Michael Matta continuing to move forward, looking to the outside of Mark Brown in the 73. Yarborough and Sorrell back at it again as the 24 of Chris Myers is around again.
We'll have to see the extent of this caution, just a violent spin that we saw on our end. I could imagine there's something more to it, though.
Myers in the 24 gets into the 10 of Chris Vanderplatz, and a very hard hit on that inside line. I'm sure we're going to see something else here because Joseph Grijalva was labeled in this as well. This is a couple cars behind. Ooh. Grijalva getting turned by Zachary Archer. So 2 completely separate incidents there. 24 and 10, 47 and 38. It's the extent of the damage on Grijalva. Wouldn't expect too much on the 38 of Archer, pardon me. And Chris Vanderplaat's coming down pit road, trying to assess the damage on that 10. Good news for him is both sides are up on that car. May not need a fast repair. See what he decides to do here. If you see that front fender just magically pop into place, now he's manually repairing that car. Fill it up with fuel and off you go.
Yeah, something that is different about this racetrack versus Martinsville, obviously, is the size. And something we haven't talked about yet is the liberty that drivers now reclaim to come down pit road and actually spend some time repairing their cars. At Martinsville, there's so much pressure, right? The laps go by so quick, even under caution. You don't have a ton of time. But as we see here, Vanderplaat's down pit road. No real sense of urgency as the drivers kind of muddy around the racetrack. It's enough time for drivers to get some substantial repairs done on their vehicles.
See Vanderplaat's rolling in that last shot there. As we work our way under caution, we see Joseph Grijalva going down pit road as well. So a fun time to be had by all here so far at New Hampshire.
The more things change, the more they stay the same, though, as they continue to chase Maxwell Caldwell here. I've just been overly impressed with that 07 machine of Justin Lewis and his ability to really be good on restarts on the inside lane, and now, we learned on the last restart, on the outside.
Yeah, Lewis has been very, very good at those restarts, and he loves these bigger, flatter tracks. If you remember his debut at Gateway earlier this season, put on a great performance. Unfortunately, came up just a little bit short. And after the race at Martinsville, finishing finishing second last week, did Lewis. Really equating both of these corners to turns 3 and 4 at Gateway. And he's not wrong. Very wide, sweeping, and flat corners with heavy braking zones, so it makes sense that this racetrack suits him, and it makes sense that he's up towards the front. So we are just past the halfway point here at New Hampshire. Zach, why don't you take us down?
All right, going down the back stretch here, as you can see on the pace car, the lights are off, as we're going to be heading green here as we're going to take lap 52 of 100 here in this event. And it will be Maxwell Caldwell on the inside lane leading Justin Lewis. Now let's see if he can get another great jump. And Braxton DeWeese, of course, lurking back there in third as we are now underway as Caldwell clears the 07 machine. And they're going to go barreling down into one with the number 8, Braxton DeWeese, trying to make a move for second.
DeWeese on that inside got a lot better restart this time around than he did last time. They found these two found themselves in a very similar situation last time around on the restart. Lewis was the benefactor the last time. It looks as though DeWeese really finding something. He's putting a lot of pressure on Caldwell, not just on Lewis.
Absolutely. 3-car battle here immediately for the lead, but don't look now. Back behind them is Mark Brown getting by Todd Merkel. He's up to 4th.
Very good restart so far. A little bit of a wiggle there from Braxton DeWeese. Oh, a big slide there from the 21 of Josh Tarrant-Hill, sliding, keeping it straight once again.
Just another one on his resume as we have 2 in the outside fence here in 3.
Yarborough and Sorrell. Or is it Yarborough and Rudge, pardon me. It's Tyler Rudge. And that was just as Braxton DeWeese cleared Maxwell Caldwell, or at least got the nose ahead, to take back the race lead. Now, we've seen Joshua Yarborough locked in combat for most of this race. And he's been on that outside, and my assumption would be that he gets turned here. So he's held that third lane pretty firm as there's Tyler Rudge. See Josh Tarrant Hill going. Oh, Rudge gets punted by the 47. And that's what sends the 77, or the 86 into the 77. Boy, Braxton DeWeese takes the lead, and Maxwell Caldwell bails for the pits.
I really like this call. I really do. Right, you're at lap 55. You're going down pit road here to get your car serviced, kind of catch your breath, reset, and make your way back up through the field. I really, really like this call from Maxwell Caldwell, and we could see other drivers here that have been strong all day make this call. And really, DeWeese out here on an island by himself, now surrounded with guys that have been hanging. Right? We talked about Michael Matta earlier. He's been battling around like 6th or 7th today. Grijalva's been in the back. Mike Peters as well. You know, these guys that are now around DeWeese are finding themselves up front for the first time.
Grijalva's had a couple of incidents here tonight, and the last time he was down pit road was lap 49. By far and away the freshest of the tires of the guys that stayed out. DeWeese, Matta, Grijalva, Peters, Archer, and Larry McKenzie stayed out. However, that has changed because Larry McKenzie is in his box. So only 5 drivers have stayed out under caution here. That would include Braxton DeWeese, Michael Matta, and Mike Peters, who came in on lap 30, Joseph Grijalva, who came in on lap 49, and Zachary Archer, who came in way back on lap 16.
It is strange, we'll put it that way, as the lights are still on the pace car. So I mean, I don't want to jump the gun here too early. But the way that last caution unfolded, it is strange that we don't have any sort of let's just say RC interaction with drivers. That would consist of an EOL. So that could very well change. But right now, your front 5 is filled with one guy who's been up there all night long and 4 others who now find themselves up there for the first time.
Matta has had a very solid car. And the 3 behind these 2 have had a litany of issues here tonight. And that also will pin Maxwell Caldwell out on the outside. Problem here for Braxton DeWeese is he was undone by a pit stop last week at Martinsville, and now there have been so many cars that came in and so few that stayed out. If he comes in under this next caution, he's going to be at the back of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I really enjoy this call. Is we're going to have just a handful of drivers staying out now.
It's one where you don't want to be the leader. As we go back to green flag racing, DeWeese with a very good jump over Michael Matta. Here comes Joseph Grijalva. Maxwell Caldwell swinging to the inside as well, looking for position, as that's Zachary Archer hard into the outside wall in turn 1.
And he got help, Frank. Yes, he did, going into turn 1. It very well might be a situation of drivers not racing next to one another. We talked about it extensively under the yellow. Some drivers are up front that aren't normally up there, and different braking points, as you see the 73 getting in the back of the 38.
Now, the different braking points may be a matter of pace and comfort with this racetrack for these drivers, but also it's that gap, that almost 40 lap gap in tire freshness there as well. Once those tires get older, you got to back that braking distance up a little bit. And I have a hard time believing that Mark Brown knew that the 38 of Zachary Archer's was on tires that were almost 40 laps older than his.
Yeah, and Brown's had a really strong run tonight. He's been flirting up there in the top 5 most of the day, so he's one of those cars that are very strong. Him and Todd Merkel both out there right now running 6th and 7th, but that's kind of the nuance that SCL has brought to our sim racing media broadcasts, Frank, is that we always tend to be documenting races with different pit calls and different pit strategies and drivers on different levels of freshness when it comes to their equipment, and it demands out of these drivers a certain awareness to get around those guys.
Caldwell had made the statement last week that he believed he was the only driver at Martinsville to finish with a 0X. Well, that's not going to be the case. Look at the concave in the front bumper of that 94. Next time we get a front end shot of him. There it is. That is quite a nice punt that he gave somebody going into turn 1 there, and I believe that's going to force him to come down pit road. If not, nope, it'll be guys just playing with each other.
That's significant damage, though. You can see the splitter, even how it's sort of bent up like that. That's not going to help the car going down the straightaway.
Not going to help it going down into the corner either. As you can definitely feel in these cars when the splitter's bent. So 94 will definitely be suffering with some handling and performance issues.
Meanwhile, DeWeese is probably watching the broadcast going, see, that's why I didn't pit. And
it wouldn't be too wrong, but he may have 40 to go. He might have to come in again.
Yeah, the buffer of 5 cars between him and the person that pitted is now down to 3. So they're getting closer.
Seeing a lot of you guys in the chat, and thank you. As always, we say this is one of the more active series as far as the chat is concerned. A lot of guys cheering on Chris Myers, who's had a mare of a day. Autumn Jones, Gene Coleman for the 10 of Vanderplatz. Of course, Chris DeWeese cheering on the number 8. Brad Cartwright in chat as well for Chris Vanderplatz. Valerie Roca for Joseph Grijalva in the chat. We thank you guys for you guys will definitely be winning the award for most active chat this season.
Yes, and feel free to share the video on socials and give this video a like. It really helps other people find great leagues like SCL. It's a shame we're here at the second to last race, Frank. I want there to be more so others can watch.
There will be a season 34, which I'm sure we'll get more information on at the close of Atlanta next week. But right now, we still have to finish 37 laps here at New Hampshire. Green flag back in the air. Braxton DeWeese, a good start. Michael Matto looking to close the door on Joseph Grijalva and does successfully.
Matt has been very strong here. I've made it very clear, you know, he's not top 5 speed, but he is top 7, 8, 9 speed, and he is sporty. But a guy who has no patience right now seems to be Maxwell Caldwell, just simply because he knows he's quick.
Oh, Caldwell on those fresh tires, a lot fresher than the drivers around him right now. Trying to work his way up through the field. Todd Merkel almost going door to door with the 30 of Trevor Dalton, who is going to win the award, as you said, for most cars passed here today, as he's back up in the top 10, running in 9th is the 30.
I would make a comment, but I'm not going to. Keep going, Trevor.
Every time we do, he sends to go to the back again. As Justin Lewis there working his way up through the field again. After an earlier incident, Josh Tarrant-Hill saved by the caution after a wild ride down the back straightaway. side by side right now for third is Maxwell Caldwell has gotten around both Joseph Grijalva and Michael Matta. And Matta getting loose coming out of 2. He's going to lose a couple of spots.
It's a little too aggressive there on exit as we are going to have a battle for the lead. How hard does Braxton DeWeese fight for this thing?
He's got to fight pretty hard here. This is a championship on the line. As Caldwell with a big dive to the inside. He's got quite a tire advantage, a good 24 laps on that 8. Boy.
Oh, they touch!
Wheel-to-wheel contact there between the 94 and the 8. DeWeese on the outside. Caldwell on the inside. Door-to-door. Body slamming between the two.
Wow, it is chaos up here in the lead as DeWeese spins the rear end coming out of the corner, and that'll be all she wrote as Maxwell Caldwell takes the lead back at New Hampshire.
These are the top 3 in points right now. Caldwell leading the points by 104 points. 105 points over Braxton DeWeese, I should say. Joseph Grijalva, 3rd place in points, running 1, 2, and 3 right now. As we've got a mess in the back here. It looked like Tyler Rudge and Mike Peters may have had it coming together. McKenzie and Hill, but we got there's a bunch of stuff going on right now.
Yep, and of course, it's all around the driver that shall not be named here in the 30 machine. But Matt is doing as much as he can to try to hold on with this pit strategy that he has kind of dug himself into a hole. He's got to minimize any mistakes here on this run. Just be competitive and hope for a yellow.
Trying to see here. This is what happened between Tyler Rudge and Mike Peters. Peters getting loose off the corner. Rudge, oh, they both hit that Armco hard.
Wow.
And that will do it for both of those drivers here tonight, as I believe both have used a fast repair. Dalton on the outside of Michael Matta. He'll get the position, not quite clear yet. Dalton on the fresher tires. Now he'll get it clear. Todd Merkel battling with Justin Lewis, trying to catch up to Justin Sorrell, who finds himself in his best running position so far this season, 4th.
Yeah, Justin Sorrell, I've been very impressed. He had some issues early on in this thing, but ever since then, he's really kept it clean and just kind of minded his own business. Now he's running 4th. He's on the same pit strategy as the leader. I like what this 199 machine's doing right now.
This has been by far and away the best race that this 199 has had since joining the series earlier this season.
Battle for second here in front of him with DeWeese and Grijalva going at it.
Grijalva to the inside, gets the position. Now, Grijalva is on about 19 lap fresher tires than DeWeese, so that was almost academic. The points difference between Joseph Grijalva and Braxton DeWeese, just under 100 points. It's about 84 points, 86 points.
If you're Braxton DeWeese, you got to be really careful on this run. Last time you were on pit road, you were lap 30. You take a look through the field. Who are the other guys that share that same strategy? Well, it's only one. It's Michael Matta back in 14th. That's how much track position matters. If you get stuck back in the field, your car really doesn't handle well, especially on older tires. DeWeese has got to do everything he can to stay up front.
With that being the way it is, Joseph Grijalva is mathematically eliminated from the championship, so just DeWeese or Caldwell can win this championship right now. As Lewis and Todd Merkel battle their way. We are 3/4 distance gone here at New Hampshire. Field getting spread out for the first time tonight. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching the SCL Winston Cup Series, the Alliance Material Handling 100 here from New Hampshire. We'll be back right after this. Caution is out here once again. This time it is for Andrew McKenzie, and he will go for a ride in turns 1 and 2. By himself, snap steer over correction, a hard hit out of turn 2, and very fortunate was the 73 to not get damaged. But Zach, we have wholesale pit stops right now.
Absolutely, and this really does benefit Braxton DeWeese. He was battling really hard for second towards the end of that run, and now you're going to be on the same tires as the rest of the field, and DeWeese has got benefit of pit stall number 1. We'll see what the race off pit road looks like.
These DeWeese and Grijalva in their battling had fallen about 3.5 seconds off the race leader by the end of that run, and with that first pit stall, Braxton DeWeese will jump Joseph Grijalva. However, I'm not sure how big of an advantage that is, because DeWeese has not had the best restarts from that outside lane here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult road to tow for him, but he knows what's on the line, right? You got to be able to show up in the biggest moments. He's really down on himself for not really capitalizing when the moments come his way. So I'm very anxious, let's put it that way, to see how he capitalizes here. Really want to see him do well. Obviously, we want to see all these drivers do well here in SCL, but he knows what's on the line. You got to race hard for this championship, and the guy in front of you is the one you're battling for it.
As we mentioned, this is the second to last race of the season. The Merkle Racing Engines 150 at Atlanta Motor Speedway will be the next event. Now, it's showing here on my schedule that we have for this series that it is a night race, which that would mean it will be on the old 2008 surface, while the newly scanned surface that came in, I believe, for the season 4 update of Atlanta has the lights. They do not work. So if it is a night race, it will be on the old Atlanta surface, or they may change that.
Or, hear me out, Frank,
just race in the dark.
They might strap flashlights to the front end of these cars and make them go. So I'm just saying, there's possibilities out there.
Now, the only reason why I know that is because we, for the Friday Night Super Speedway League, the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series with the iRacing East Series, when they tried to run their All-Star race at the new Atlanta at night, didn't know that the track had lights, but they didn't work, and had to create a whole new session and ran that race during the day.
Oh my goodness.
So if anyone from league management is hearing this and is unaware of that fact, now you know.
Well, Frank, all bills are paid here in New Hampshire because the racing's been electric today. So these drivers are going to set up now with 19 laps to go here at the line. Maxwell Caldwell gets a great jump on DeWeese, and that's going to open the door for Joseph Grijalva. You know he's aggressive down there in P3.
Grijalva not quite close enough to the rear corner of Braxton DeWeese to try to make a move. However, Justin Sorrell is definitely close enough to Joseph Grijalva to take a look on the outside. He's nosed ahead of Grijalva going into turn 3, and he will take the position coming through turns 3 and 4. Not quite yet, as Grijalva able to claw it back in the second half of the corner.
Burrell having a banner day here with just under 20 to go here at SCL action. Can he keep up the momentum for a podium finish? As you see Brown in the way outside lane. Take a look at this Hornet's Nest back here for about 6th on back through 10th.
It's just scatter, just scatter everyone. As Chris Myers trying to work his way up through the field for about the 4th or 5th time. Trevor Dalton in the top 5 for about the 5th time today. These guys have certainly had to work, as Sorrell now has cleared Joseph Grijalva into the third position. Now Grijalva has to worry about Dalton to his outside.
See the 199 off the corner. He took a low exit, took the arrow off the 47, got him a little bit loose, bringing the 30 with him. It's going to be interesting seeing how hard the 30 is going to push here in 3 and 4. Can he get clear of the 47 on exit? Nope. Side by side still for fourth as the battle continues to be up front here between these two championship competitors.
These two are putting in fastest laps of the race. Maxwell Caldwell last time around put down the fastest lap of the race at a 30.74. Braxton DeWeese has reset his personal best these last 2 laps. So these two are getting it as they try to run away from the 199 of Sorrell and company behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And included in this battle, of course, we've documented very well Trevor Dalton and his crazy, crazy story tonight. Justin Sorrell, he's having a banner day. There's tons of storylines back here, Frank. You got the 2 machine of Todd Merkel, who has had just a flurry of bad luck this evening. Gambled on pit strategy. It has paid off. He's up here in the top 10. Right behind him, we left Michael Matta for dead a little while ago. He's back here in the 7th position trying to make his way back up into the top 5.
He certainly has worked his way back up through the field nicely. Unfortunately, however, this might be the end of the line for the 00 of Larry McKenzie, who is spun going through 1 and 2. Far enough off of the racing line to not bring out a caution. Fortunately for him, didn't hit anything, as now Todd Merkel having to watch the 16 to his outside as Grijalva might lose the spot in 5th.
I was looking under that last set of caution. Larry was all the way up to 12th. He was having a strong run tonight as well, just trying to keep that car clean. But the battle continues to rage on here around the 5th position between Grijalva, Merkel, and Matta.
Caldwell has gotten out to a 6/10 of a second lead. DeWeese a 1.5 seconds ahead of Trevor Dalton, who has cleared this little group here by about 3/4 of a second. Sorrell in 4th, Grijalva 5th, Merkel 6th, Matta 7th. As we see Michael Matta peeking to the inside of Todd Merkel's, will jump on board with that nationwide number 16. You're how tender he's having to be for so long coming off of this corner.
You have to be so patient with throttle time off exit because we've seen so many drivers lose it, just getting too impatient. Got to let it really roll through the center of the corner here. As you can see, he's right on that white line, able to feather the throttle off corner. You take a look at the miles per hour here at the bottom corner of the screen. He's going to eclipse the 150 mark, but look at him just sail it on the high line of Merkel.
Very nicely done. A little bit of contact maybe there between Michael Matta, but nothing too severe. Everyone keeping it straight as once again the field's starting to spread out a little bit as we see side-by-side battling. Chris Vanderplat's looking for position on Joshua Yarborough. This is just outside the top 10. 10th, 11th, and 12th is what you see on your screen right now. Hill in the top 10. The other two looking to get it.
The man holding 10th place is Josh Sherritt Hill in that 21 machine, and we have seen about 3 or 4 saves from him tonight that have just been remarkable coming off of turn 2. Okay, I hesitated in talking about it because he was exiting off of turn 2, but he still holds 10th place as they're going to go into 3 and 4. Man, look at Vanderplat's just really drive the car in there.
Vanderplat's is going to pick up that spot, at least for the moment, as Hill will get the advantage, able to power off the corner better than that 10 of Vanderplat's. So he will keep the spot, and Vanderplat's getting in very hot into turn 1, and that will force him to lose the spot to the 77 of Yarborough. Michael Matta now dealing with the 07 of Justin Lewis, who's trying to work his way back up through the field.
Justin Lewis had a really strong machine at the beginning of this and really faded back due to some pit strategy and just really didn't fire off in the back of the field as we saw Maxwell Caldwell do at the midpoint portion of this race. He's been really struggling back here in traffic just inside the top 10 as Justin Sorrell is trying to hold on to a top 5 position as Matt is in the fence coming out of 2.
Yep, that was a light hit though, but a hit nonetheless for the 16 of Michael Matta. appears to be rolling okay. Going to have to gather it up and get back in that rhythm again, as Justin Sorrell is looking to try to hold off that 47 of Grijalva, and just does.
It will be the hardest fourth place finish for him if he can hold on, because man, is he wheeling this 199 machine trying to stay in front of Grijalva.
This will be by far and away his best finish of the season for Justin Sorrell. Joseph Grijalva in that 47 lined up right behind him. He's keeping it close, though. Just goes to show how difficult it is to pass here. You just take the lane away, and the guy behind you just has to follow. Can't really do much.
I tell you what, Sorrell is the biggest fan of Todd Merkel right now. If he can just get alongside of Joseph Grijalva, kind of hold him up a little bit, that would go a long way. As look at this move to the inside of the 199.
On board with Justin Grijalva, right on the nose, right on the splitter. Oh, Sorrell gets loose, hits the outside wall, and unfortunately that might be it. Oh, right front still spinning though. Just didn't break it.
5 laps to go here. Can he limp this car home? He's going to have to try here with Merkel now to his inside.
It's just an unfortunate mistake after he's made so few here tonight. Had the one big save. But other than that, he has been nearly flawless, has that 199 tonight. Up at the front, 4 to go, not missing anything. Maxwell Caldwell has gotten out to a 1.7 second lead over Braxton DeWeese. However, DeWeese has company now, half a second between himself and Trevor Dalton, and this is a position that he really cannot afford to lose.
Gotta wonder what's going through the mind of Trevor Dalton. He missed the start. We think it probably was on his own volition, and he elected to stay in the back. That resulted in probably one of the more chaotic races I've ever seen out of a driver out of New Hampshire. It just seems like he was in just about everything throughout the course of the race. He'd get up to 10th, and then he'd get caught up in somebody else's mess again. Now he's up to 3rd, looking for more with 3 laps to go.
It's amazing how, with everything that's happened here tonight and how many different ways this race has gone and could have gone, the drivers who started 1, 2, and 3 find themselves in 1, 2, and 3 come the end of this race. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy because Trevor Dalton, I mean, he qualified outside of the front row. This is the furthest up he's been all night. So even from the drop of the green flag, didn't have the benefit of rolling off second, as the battle continues back here for the 8th position now, as Sorrell getting passed by Makomata.
Sorrell trying to get a little bit of fight back on that 16 as Maxwell Caldwell takes the white flag. Well, coming into this race, he was tied with Braxton DeWeese for the most wins on the season at 4. He's going to take that lead now, 5 wins for Maxwell Caldwell. He may not have won the championship here tonight, but certainly put that etching of his name a little bit deeper into the trophy. Maxwell Caldwell wins the Alliance Material Handling 100 at New Hampshire.
Braxton DeWeese, Trevor Dalton, Joseph Grijalva, and Justin Lewis will round out your top 5 here tonight. What a run by Caldwell, though. Able to be the class of the field, elected to go down pit road at the right time, and fought his way back up through to secure the win at New Hampshire.
Pit strategy and pit decisions have gotten that 94 back-to-back wins here this season. Braxton DeWeese, fortunately for him, able to limit the damage as much as he could. Coming home in 3rd, and unfortunately for Joseph Grijalva, who came in 4th, that will spell the end of his championship campaign as we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway to close out this season next week. As we will work on getting these drivers into in and ready for interviews here. I believe, Zach, you should have our race winner, Maxwell Caldwell, with you now.
Hey, Maxwell, this is Zach. Can you hear me well in the booth?
Yes, sir. I got a copy.
All right, you were the class of the field today, elected to go down at the right moment to get fresh tires about midway through the portion of this race. But ultimately, how confident were you coming into New Hampshire? Because you were electric all night long.
Yeah. When the season started, I saw this one toward the end, and I said, "Man, if I'm in the championship hunt, I got this one circled." Next gens don't ever know how you're going to run at some of the tracks you've been good at before because they're a little different. But I don't know. There's just something about New Hampshire. I really, really like it. I liked Martinsville for sure, but I think I said last week New Hampshire is definitely the way to go, and I love this place. So, yeah, no, had this one circled and did a practice race with some of the teammates last night and found something there pretty late. Could not apply it in qualifying. I don't know what happened in qualifying. It just got a bit too loose. Couldn't really get that one lap I needed. So I was beating myself up for not getting the pole because I thought it was going to be real hard to pass. But right there at the beginning, just kind of put the pressure on the 8, and he kind of let me by. And from there, it was kind of my race to control. He kind of had to put up with some other people and kind of burn his stuff up a little bit. So he came back for second, so good run by Braxton there. But, yeah, no, that was still hard fought because pitting in the middle of the race, I was making sure that was the right call. But in the past, I've been burned by not pitting when he did, so I tried to go off strategy a little.
Well, you've been going toe to toe with Braxton DeWeese for most of the season, and of course tonight you were able to get the upper hand on him, so to speak, tonight at New Hampshire at a track that you're pretty confident at. Now, looking forward into the schedule as we take a look at the last race of the season at Atlanta. What are your thoughts about that track as you try to secure a championship?
Well, that's funny you bring that up. I think me finishing ahead of Braxton tonight might make it where as long as I show up next week, it's locked based on how many entries we have. So I would say if we had about the same entry list as tonight, it's locked up as soon as the green flag starts. So that's really cool. I'm excited for that in the first season with SCL. But no, next week, really looking forward to Atlanta too. Preseason, they had a big event, the SCL Atlanta 150. And they had practiced for like 2 weeks for it and tried to prepare, and it had a big prize pool. And me and my teammate Todd Merkel worked really, really hard on trying to learn how to draft at Atlanta and these things, how to stick together. And we were able to pull the 1-2 there last time. So sitting next to me actually is that little trophy that I got from that event, my first ever iRacing trophy, kind of cool. So, yeah, really looking forward to next week and probably going to work a lot with Todd to make sure we can link back up and pull those moves off. And honestly, you know, if I've got the championship locked up, as much as I want to win, I kind of owe him one. So if I'm in position to push him, it's probably what I'm going to do. But, man, just looking forward to it. Atlanta's so much fun in these next gens at the new Atlanta. Old Atlanta has a special place in my heart, but even though the new Atlanta's kind of plate racing, it's really at the same time like you lose the handle on the car pretty good as the run goes on. So you've still got to baby it at the start, and even though other guys may get runs, you still have to kind of watch your moves and watch what you do. So it's going to be a chess match next week. The poll is anybody's guess, but just looking for a good, strong run to finish out this season.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly had a great one tonight here at New Hampshire. I know when you wind up here at the podium, you wind up having interviews with Sim Racing Media. You have a village to thank, so I'm going to leave it up to you for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Man, absolutely. First and foremost, got to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, everything he's done for me in my life allowed me to be blessed with the stuff I have to be able to even come and race with these great guys in this great league. It's just a blessing. So thanks to him first and foremost. And then definitely my teammates, Todd Merkel, Mike Peters, Justin, all those guys that I was running with tonight, man, really just worked as a team tonight, especially on some of those restarts, just being able to time them. And I was trying to help my teammates out, you know, trying to let them get some positions and kind of tell them when I was going to go on the restarts, you know. Typical strategy when you're running with teammates at any track. You kind of want to do that. Unless it's a plate race, then you kind of don't want to do that. But thanks to them, and definitely shout out to Merkel Racing Engines jumping on board this season. Known Todd for a couple years through Area 51, and this season he said, hey, you know, let's see if we can get Merkel Racing Engines a championship. And I said, man, I'm down. I'd love to get a paint and represent my buddy. So, got to thank Merkel Racing Engines for being on the car, and I'm just glad that this season we're able to give them a good showing in what I think is one of the sexiest cars out here on track. So, thanks for them, and finally, thanks to the league and to you guys at the broadcast, y'all. I listen to it during the races to keep up with yellows, and y'all do an amazing job. One of the best broadcasts I've heard in a long time. So, y'all definitely keep the storyline going and make these races fun to watch. So, appreciate you guys as well.
Well, thank you, and it's been a treat being up here in the booth. That is Maxwell Caldwell, your winner here at New Hampshire. Go enjoy this one, man.
10-4, thank you.
So that was our race winner, Maxwell Caldwell, who will welcome in a pretty solid 115-point lead going into the next race here, the championship race, as we're now joined by our second place finisher, Braxton DeWeese. Braxton, that's quite a mountain to climb going into Atlanta next week, 115 points, even though you did limit the damage as much as you could tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good race all in all, I guess you could say. I mean, you can't be upset with a second place. It's just, upsetting you can't get a win, but it is what it is. He's definitely got the championship locked up, so it is what it is. Second's better than third, so I mean, I guess I can say that. But this year was definitely a big learning curve with the next gen cars. Not really running them much, but I definitely learned a lot, and I'll be a lot more prepared for next year. So hopefully we could be in a different position at this time next year.
Now, going into next week, we've spoken a lot about just going into Atlanta for the last race of the season. One thing that I think we've all honestly overlooked is the fact that the new build for iRacing, the 2023 Season 1 build, comes out tomorrow, which means the last race of the season will be on a completely different build from what the rest of the season has been on. How do you think that's going to affect the race at Atlanta next week?
If anything, it'd probably be worse, but I think it's going to be just fine. iRacing usually tends to make stuff a lot worse than what it needs to be, but I think it ain't going to change much, and I think it'll honestly be around the same. But I guess we'll see tomorrow and the rest of the days that I'm able to practice.
Going into the season finale at Atlanta now, again on the website, it's slated as a night race, but the new Atlanta doesn't have lights. So, what are your thoughts going into the final race of the season at whichever Atlanta we end up running at next week?
If it's the new Atlanta, just try to survive and make sure I'm up there at the end, so I don't have to go through the big mess. If it's the old Atlanta, which I don't think it will be, then that'd be a lot better, a lot better racing. I personally like that track more, but if it's the new Atlanta, then like I said, we're just gonna try to survive and be up there at the end. But it's it's kind of like a plate track. I mean, it's a little different, but there ain't many differences about it. There's a lot more similarities than there are differences. But we'll see how it goes. I don't really know how it's gonna go. I haven't done the next gens there in a league race, so I guess we're all going to be in for a treat.
All right. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, most definitely. Big thing you do. Scott Martin over at Jeff Schmidt Auto Group over there in Beaver Creek, Ohio. He's a hell of a salesman. He'll hook you up right. So go there for any of your car needs. Definitely got a bunch of other people I'd like to thank as well. I want to thank Reaper Speed Lab, Scrubbing Tires Podcast, Short Track Report, Blaze Designs, GP Diecast, Allen's Images, and everybody else that helps make this A-car go and supports me on. So we'll go Atlanta and see if we can go for a win. That's all we can really do is go for a win. It don't really mean much. So, I'll feel pretty happy leaving Atlanta if I got a win. So, we'll start off the next season off right and hopefully get a win there as well. But all we can do is just try for a win and go for it. I mean, that's all we can do. Try different things, but I don't really think there's going to be much different things. So just got to survive and be there in the end. We'll see what we can do.
Second place finisher tonight, Braxton DeWeese, bud. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. You have a good one.
And now, Zach, you're with the man who passed this field about 5 or 6 different times. Trevor Dalton, your third place finisher. Zach, you're with him now.
Well, you have certainly had an eventful evening. I just, I kind of want to leave this open ended for you, Trevor. Talk to us about your night because it was certainly eventful.
Well, I never like to do things the easy way, so I decided to start the night out with freezing load screen. Some reason when it tripped from qualify to race, I didn't notice, but it froze up. There was sound and everything, so I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and yeah, but it froze, so I had to reload and start at the back.
And it just seemed every time that you would make your way just outside or just inside the top 10, trouble would find you. And yet you kept on digging. So, talk to us about that final run and kind of your march up to the front. Did you really think that you had anything for the front, too?
It was, I think I had something for Braxton over time, but this track is so hard to pass at. Once you get to equal people, it's really hard to get by them and not spin out at that lower line. So I don't know. I would have liked to have been up there all night and see where it shook out, but Maxwell was class of the field, certainly.
Well, and taking a look at the schedule moving forward, we got one more here for SCL Cup competition. So, what are your thoughts about Atlanta?
I need the magnets taken out of my car because I always seem to find the super speedways. It seems like every wreck finds me.
Well, we'll have to see what strategy and maybe luck plays out for you, Trevor. But it's certainly you earned this third place tonight. Like Frank said, you certainly got the award for passing the most cars tonight. You had to do that multiple times. Any thank you, sponsors, and shout outs that you have for this evening?
I'd like to thank Vix, NyQuil, and Dayquil for getting me through the last 2 weeks. And of course, the league sponsors for putting these on. It's a lot of fun. Really enjoy, except for last week. Really enjoy running with you guys.
Well, if this isn't your flu game, I don't know what is. Go rest up, enjoy this third place finish, and get well soon, Trevor.
Hopefully, see you next week.
All right.
So that was your third place finisher, Trevor Dalton. And Zach, one more down, one more to go.
It's been such a great journey here at SCL competition. We've been really spoiled with a few great leagues, but specifically the Winston Cup Series. It's been a great battle watching these awesome competitors go at it week in and week out. And Caldwell shows once again just that racing craft, man. He knew when to go down pit road at the midpoint of the race and was patient enough to claw his way back.
Absolutely, and we talk about all the new things that are coming to iRacing. There's, is it Lakeview Speedway? The dirt racetrack is coming tomorrow. Magny Core is coming tomorrow. There's a new build for Sebring that's coming tomorrow. There's a new GT car, Toyota 86, that's coming tomorrow. One thing that you might expect coming to iRacing soon is what they were doing today at Rockingham. They were repaving that racetrack, so who knows? Maybe we'll see NASCAR at Rockingham in the not-so-distant future with the repave that was going on today. But right now we'll take a look at the final results here for tonight's race. Maxwell Caldwell, your race winner. Braxton DeWeese, Trevor Dalton, your top three. Caldwell once again will have a 115-point advantage going into Atlanta next week. Joseph Grijalva and Justin Lewis rounding out the top five. Todd Merkel, Michael Matta, Justin Sorrell, Chris Vanderplatz, and Joshua Yarborough rounding out the top 10. Josh Tarrant Hill, Mark Brown, Chris Myers, Larry McKenzie, and Mike Peters, your top 15. Andrew McKenzie, Tyler Rudge, Zachary Archer, the last of the drivers that started this race. Adam Lowe, Joe Owen, pardon me, and Adam Chapman, the last of the drivers that registered for the race. So for my broadcast partner, Zach Woods, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you for the championship race next week from Hampton, Georgia and Atlanta Motor Speedway. Good night, everybody.